of Global. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second edition of our Global Insights, where we're going to explore our travels and trade shows for London, Toronto, and Spain. And I'll give you a side note. London and Toronto are built into our global programming. And so there are things that we do on a regular basis. Although Spain is an emerging market for Florida and the Southeast US, we did not participate directly in Spain, but Karina, our president, participated as the NAR ambassador liaison to Portugal, Spain, and Italy. So there is a distinction. The nice thing is she goes for NAR, but we get the points, if you will, in our community for having someone representing the Tampa Bay region at that conference. A very well-attended conference. I think we went in a prior year to Malaga and to Valencia at one time. So welcome, everyone. I'm David Bennett, the CEO of Suncoast Tampa Realtors, and I'm going to introduce our panel first, and then I'll give you a little insight, and we'll kick it off. So, of course, we have Karina Lessa, our president for 2026, Tina Marie Elawan, our president-elect, Mark Middleton, our vice president, Ollie Green is our director, and she is won't be on camera with us today, but you can see her photo there represented. Where's Ollie? Sammy Haja is our global chair. Angela Emerson, our vice president of professional development standards, is our global liaison. And some people always ask the question, and it's something that we just recently have redone a little bit of our programming because the places we're going, these are all feeder markets for our community. And so that's how we determine the locations that we travel to. So we have a global budget of about $130,000. And a big chunk of that is local programming that we do. But then we have another chunk, about $3.50 per member that we use to create opportunities. So we have trade show booths that any member is welcome to attend and to sign up for time. You must pay your own travel, of course, but we have those opportunities available. Probably Canada is our largest attended. It is a closer show, much easier and cheaper to get to. And they're longtime partners and big feeder market for Florida. Although I don't see as many Ontario plates like I used to, maybe Florida is just getting too hot, it seems like, or maybe we're aging and we just feel hot. But I'll give you a little background on what we do. So STAR engages in global programming because real estate is no longer stops at our local borders. Our feeder markets, London, Spain, Canada, and other international regions that we participate in, they are future buyers, investors, referral businesses, and relationships that we create in branding the Tampa Bay region. And that's super important because most European countries, you just can't pop on a Zoom and create a relationship. These are belly-to-belly relationships. You must be there, communicate with these individuals, whether they're referral partners or other CEOs or other presidents of other associations. They're super important to create relationships because when you, the members, need something from a particular country, we have resources to get to you if you're encountering an issue with a transaction that you're trying to handle or a referral that you're trying to deal with. And it's important because we set up MOUs for you all, and this protects your commission. These MOUs solidify a relationship between the countries, memos of understanding, and they allow us to make sure that that referral partner is acting in the best interest of everyone involved and that there is a commission agreement and everybody gets paid. And so super important. People always ask, well, I don't understand this MOU and what it has to do with anything. It really is about your commission, even though we don't have it in the MLS anymore. We can protect this part of it. And so it is a unique thing that we can do. So when we participate with these markets, we're not simply attending events, traveling. We are positioning the Tampa Bay region. Just like we took it from the playbook from Miami. Miami's done this best. And we took this, I don't know how many years ago, Angela would correct me, but it's at least 10 or 12 years. that we wanted to position the Tampa Bay region because we went to one trade show that very first year, and not one person that came through the trade show could pinpoint where our beaches were in the Tampa Bay region. So they knew Mickey Mouse, they knew Miami, but really we were left out. Even though in the U.S., Tampa Bay, everybody knows the Tampa Bay market today, especially after COVID. So I think it's super important what we've done, and it's not cheap. But it's something that, again, creates awareness of our community. So a piece of what we do is just creating that general awareness of what we do for our members. And then the other piece of it is then building those relationships, which are super, super important to the transaction for you all. And so we're going to kick it off with, I'll kick it over to Karina, who kind of helped me in the very, very beginning when we were starting this out. Actually, we had a chair of global that was very kind of new into the market. They did their niche marketplace, but Karina was a catalyst in helping us kind of expand our global programming and understanding why it is a value to us to go to these places and to make sure that you're represented there and that we bring back resources for you. And a lot of what we bring back, it's hard to kind of grab your hands on. But when you have a transaction or you have a potential referral, we have resources that can help you and relationships that can help you. Just by way of example, if you have someone that you need to refer to Portugal, we know the connections there. We know how this works. And so that you don't get left in the dark as a member, even if you've never done a global transaction before. So Karina, help us out with some big impactful piece, and maybe start with your NAR ambassadorship and what that really does for the National Association of Realtors, but what it does for us locally.
So NAR created this really nice structure that starts with this MOUs and these relationships that they create with bilateral partners. So the bilateral partners are associations in other countries that share the same values, that not necessarily share the same code of ethics, because our code of ethics is ours, and each country have their own set of code of ethics, but they do have code of ethics that are similar to ours. And when they sign with these bilateral partners, they start building a bridge so that we know who to talk to, so that we know if we have a referral or if we need any help with the destination, we know who to go to. So NAR has a little over 100 bilateral partners. There are more than 75 countries that NAR started those relationships. And that starts with the national level, and then it goes to the state level and then local level. So Florida Realtors does the same thing. You mentioned Miami. Miami, I think, is the local association that has the most robust international program, and the members love it. And they love it because you explore and you open doors for new income possibilities. We talk about how real estate is local, and I've been saying, I do a lot of these webinars with local associations, and I've been saying that real estate is local, but the people are not local anymore. When you think about real estate, you think about people selling and buying property, but when we talk about people in Tampa, almost no one was raised and born. It's even a conversation topic, when somebody was born and raised here in Tampa. So we have people coming from all over, but more than that, we have people going to all over. So you're leaving money at the table. If you have a listing, you sell a property and you don't know where the person is going to, it could be to another state, it could be to another country, and you should be sending a referral for a person that will take good care of the client for you. So that's what Global does. It works in local, state, and national levels across the world. And those relationships, they're not about numbers of MOUs. I hear that a lot. Miami has over 300 MOUs signed. It's really more about the trust and not the number of MOUs. It's who you can connect that you trust your client to talk with.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Karina. That's a perfect setup for what we do. And those ambassadorships, we also have
Oh,
Germany.
sorry. Yeah, I ended up not answering your question. So NAR has global coordinators, and they divide the world into groups of countries and global coordinators. They take care of the global ambassadors, and each global ambassador has a set of countries. So I am the one person out of our 1.4 million members that takes care of Italy, Brazil, and Portugal. So there are other global ambassadors that takes care of each country. So whenever someone wants to find a good person in India, a good person in China, a good person in Ghana, then I can connect, or you can go to the NAR directory and find out who that ambassador is. And that person is going to be able to connect you with the local partners in those countries.
Yes, absolutely. And we're super lucky. It's a shame we don't have Manuela on today, but she is also a global ambassador for us to Germany and Austria. And so we're privileged to have two uh, areas that are wildly popular with Americans, and wildly popular with Europeans coming this direction. So, Sammy, why don't you give us a little taste of how Toronto was for you and what it meant for you to connect with those practitioners, because this is a practitioner show, so this isn't a retail show, even though I kind of wish they'd have like a weekend of retail and then 3 days of member to member. So when we go to Toronto and we're representing Florida there, um, so that our members understand we are connecting with other realtor members there. And so give us a taste of Toronto and the value that you see when you go there representing us. Because remember, these folks are traveling and representing outside of Mark and Ollie, they went on their own resources. Sammy, Tina, Karina, myself, when we travel there, our commitment is to star the organization and not, no one here is trying to get referral business for themselves. We are trying to build connections so that when our members run into a situation where they need assistance or they need a trusted advisor on the other end, we're able to provide that. So, Sammy, give us a little taste of Toronto for you, because I think, was this your first
This
Toronto?
was.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me, guys. Yes, it was beautiful. I thank Suncoast Realtors Association for allowing me to go to Canada, and I'm a member first. So I want to make sure that our members know what we're doing. I would love to have more members participate in the future, because next year I will be attending as well. I won't be the global chair next year, but this is Canada is one of our biggest investors in Florida, and for me, it's basically I wanted to pave the way for our members. The more people who attend trade shows. I first attended a trade show with Florida Realtors in Dubai, and I got to learn a lot about Dubai and how they do business globally and global transactions, things like that. So with Toronto, since they are like one of our biggest investors here, I really wanted to see what brings them to the U.S., what brings them to Florida specifically, and I wanted to connect with them, and it was pretty great. We were there. We had some of our members, Mark and Ali, who came along, and they invested in this trip. And honestly, they can go back and now position themselves here in their local market as a global agent. Because they did the trade mission, and they learned from it. We learned about cross-border transactions, things like that. But it was great to meet a lot of the agents in Canada. A lot of them didn't really know where Tampa is. So we have to be there, and we have to like, hey, Tampa's located, we're close, we're in Clearwater, we're by Clearwater, we're close to Orlando, because everyone that approached us thought we were Miami. They're like, oh, you guys are from Miami, Naples. No, we're Tampa. And this, when I used to go in other places and visit, this used to be very common. People didn't know where Tampa was, and we were like, hey, Tampa is located here. And then in 2022, when I went to Dubai, they when I said I'm from Tampa, I was getting ready to follow up with, hey, It's located near Orlando, but everyone knew Tampa. About four people said, "Oh, Tom Brady." So we were like, "Oh, okay, good." I was like, "Great, you know where Tampa is now." But now, when I went to Toronto, different experience. A lot of people didn't realize where's Tampa, but they all know Miami and they all know the other associations. So it's important for us to be there and represent Tampa and Suncoast and you know I'll let someone else speak, but I'll come back to it and I'll tell you guys more about the discussions I had with some of the agents I met and everything like that.
Beautiful, Sammy. Thank you. So, Tina, you give a different experience for us in that you're from the commercial sector. So, going to Toronto, how does that work for our commercial practitioners? Because we have a lot of investment from lots of foreign companies. France is a huge investor in Florida, but likewise is Canada. So, give us your feedback about our experience in Toronto and specifically commercial.
Thank you, David. Can everybody see me okay? Or do I need to reposition the lighting here?
Good.
Is it, I'm okay? Okay. All right. From a commercial perspective, I definitely thought with Toronto, there's so much potential. I mean, just the fact that what our dollar gets us there. And then with them being really excited about coming to Florida. So I had met several people while I was there that actually already owned properties in Florida, owned second homes, third homes. And some of them had businesses that were actually between Tampa and or Florida and there where they lived. And it was all kinds of businesses, import, export. Some people worked for TD Bank, which is out of Toronto. And so a lot of people don't realize that the banking industry, goes between the country. So there was just a lot of interesting, I think the biggest part of right now, things are sort of, whether they want to come to Florida or not is more political than anything. Oh, we're not coming there now. We're not doing this yet. We're not expanding yet. But I think it's all just a temporary situation. I don't think this is a long-term play commercially. I think, as soon as the interest rates drop a little and things start to look a little bit easier out there and there's no wars, we're gonna have a better trade mission happening with commercial. But right now they're just maintaining it. They're not shutting shop up in Florida and going back to Canada. They're maintaining it. They're doing it. And some people still actually want to come to Florida and open up second satellites businesses. I got a lot of cards in fact, I got a couple of emails of people, asking about financing and what could they do to open up another shop and stuff like that. But being that we're there with the association, my goal was really just to put Tampa on the map and get everybody looking at Tampa.
Very nice. Thank you. And so, kind of a theme that we've seen this year attending the trade shows that we've gone to and conferences, and maybe Mark, if you want to speak to this, is that we are all in the same place. Everybody is lacking affordable housing units. It's not just a phenomenon in the United States, even though we're down 5 million units. All of Europe is this way. From our time in France, we heard that over and over again, and especially starting at Housing Matters in France. If we go back to our last webinar that we did, that was just a really big piece of what's going on in Europe too. And so do you want to speak to any of that, Mark, about what's going on, affordability, units?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and thank you all for having me. As David and Sammy both alluded to, uh, I I was not a member that traveled at the expense of the association. I took care of that on my own, and I was elated to go to Toronto specifically because I've lived in Dunedin for 15 years. In the 1970s, the Toronto Blue Jays picked Dunedin, Florida, as a place to build their training facility. And the city back then built a small stadium. And a few years ago, They invested $32 million in Dunedin for a new Toronto Blue Jays TD Bank stadium in Dunedin. And so the amount of Canadian people that own property and that live and travel back and forth from Toronto to Dunedin is really amazing. On game days. It's incredible. The whole entire city is wearing Toronto Blue Jays outfits. So I was excited to get there and connect with people. And I did find a lot of people, like Sammy said, a lot of people didn't even know where Tampa was. And other people said, oh, yeah, Dunedin, Florida. I know exactly. I know I go back and forth. What I felt was incredible was that so many agents that I was able to talk to at Realtor Quest, they weren't even talking on behalf of their client. They themselves said, I want to retire to Florida. And they were looking, I think a lot of people, I originally come from Detroit, Michigan. It's cold. There's 10 feet of snow over your head, and you got to dig your car out every morning to go anywhere. And so when you live in a climate like that, and you see pictures and social media posts of sunshine and Sunshine City and everything, you dream about being in Florida. And all of those people that we talked to, they did as well. It's a theme, and I was excited to connect um, for my business. To make these connections, as Karina said a little bit ago, when we sell a home, they're all going somewhere. And to be able to refer out to build partnerships, not just within our local community, very rarely am I going to connect with someone in Tampa and be able to have a referral partner because it's the same area that we live in. But when I can go to places like France or Dubai or to Realtor Quest in Toronto, then I can build relationships all over the world and be able to refer back and forth. And especially for me in Toronto to have incoming referrals to people that are going to clearly visit and move there. David, to answer that specific question directly, um, everywhere we go, and that I've been with the association over the last year or so, affordability is a topic that comes up. And it matters here. We talk about insurance and taxes and things, but the world is talking about affordability and the availability of housing, and I think it's a big topic that's on everyone's radar. There's a shortage of inventory, not just our planet's growing. I was recently at the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C., and there's a clock on the wall that shows how fast the world population is growing. And it's outpacing how fast we can build new homes. And more importantly, with the cost of everything going up in the world and this inflationary period that we have been in, to build affordable housing and workforce housing that people like first responders and teachers can afford to live in the communities that they serve is not just special to the Tampa Bay area, but it's something that's on the radar of every city that I've traveled to over the last few years.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, it was just a kind of overwhelming this year, I think, because I've never heard so much of it. But you think about European cities are usually older and they're nestled together for transportation hubs. And so they build very differently than we do in the US. So, a good thing that happened to us, a big announcement last night of the bipartisan 21st Century Road to Housing Act, which we've been advocating for a lot of those pieces of legislation. I think there's 40 different bills that are pulled together in this that are going to try to help us in the US to bring down the cost of a unit. And hey, you think, oh, Canadians aren't moving here. Well, if you don't know, sometimes a home that needs some severe remodeling in Toronto can cost $1 million. And you can still come here into our community in the Tampa Bay region and get something for $400,000 or $500,000 that doesn't need significant remodeling. And so it's a very different place, and people still will come here. It reminds me of my childhood. I thought all Canadians lived here. They went back and forth because it's too cold there. And so they still do that, and they still want that. And so that's why we have to be present. And it's why we spend some of the money that we spend to be present in these places, because if not, they go to Orlando. If not, they go to Miami. If not, they go to someplace else. And so we have to be there and market our community. And that's not cheap. Unfortunately, it's just a cost. But we do it for our 24,000 members now, because that is what that's the right thing to do for our members. Collectively, there's no cheaper way to do it. We do it the cheapest way collectively. And the same thing when Karina explained our bilateral partners. What NAR does in advocacy, they do the same thing in global. And you'd never understand the value that they give for that. They spend a couple dollars per member in creating this value for our members so that there is a trusted advisor on this other end. And so it's hugely important because the old adage still works for us. You do business with people you know and trust, and especially a foreign purchase of an asset. It's something that you really have to have a trusted advisor on the other end, whether they're a realtor member, an international realtor member, which there are, or whether they're just a practitioner in their country. It takes that expertise and those connections to make sure that when you pass along someone's name, that there's a trusted advisor on the other end for your client. Because I think in the future, kids today, I say kids loosely, they may be 20 and 30, but they're kids to me. They don't have to work in where they graduated from college. They could work in Portugal as a digital nomad. They could work in Germany. They could work anywhere in the world. So we don't want our members to miss those opportunities to make those connections with those international practitioners, people going to Europe, but also people coming this way. And we know that we still have significant amount of people that like our country and like beautiful Tampa Bay area and the beaches that we have. Let's see, back to Sammy, give us one thing from your experience in Toronto that just really stood out to you that was like a wow moment for you.
Hey guys. Yes, so the wow moment was just seeing so many people there. Here, I'm sorry, let me move this out the way. Okay. Just seeing so many people there. A lot of the agents they want a second home in Florida. A lot of like Mark said, a lot of the realtors, David, that I met was wanted to know if they can join our association, get a second license. I was surprised. I think about four people asked about that. They were like, "Hey, how can we get a Florida license?" Because they wanted to do cross-border transactions as well. But my biggest wow moment was the keynote speaker when they had Michelle Obama and the line that was there for people waiting for her to speak. Incredible. Like I've never seen a line like that. So that was one of my biggest wow factors.
Very nice. Yeah. So some of it has personal impact for you. But yeah, it's a big show. Toronto has done an amazing job over the years. I've watched it over 28 years. They have really grown that show and it's super, super amazing. So we hope to grow something very similar. So if you're listening to this today, hopefully before our show in October, we're bringing Global to Tampa Bay. So Karina, why don't you give us a taste of what to expect with our Global Tampa Bay Summit?
Yeah, so just to give a little, before I talk about that event, I want to share with everybody that this year, for all of our international events that we attend, we went with the clear goal of making connections with people that we could invite to come to our show in the end of October. And the reason why is because mobility just became a different thing after COVID. And like you mentioned before, people work remotely. And also a lot of countries offer different types of tax advantages or affordability that we don't offer anymore. So we talk a lot about inbound, but outbound is as important. A lot of people that were looking or had dreams about moving to Florida are now looking in Honduras, are looking in Costa Rica, are looking at Mexico, are looking at Colombia. So going to those shows, especially the one in London, that's called A Place in the Sun. And it's called A Place in the Sun because any country that offers sun as part of quality of life, they're there to sell to the British that destination. And Florida is not the only one. There are many countries that offer the same type of quality of life, meaning affordable housing, the sun, good food, walkability. So going to those places, we made connections with those destinations, and they are going to come here so that our 25,000 members can have access to global without going on a trip. It is very important to go and have this connection in person, but it's hard to get started. It's hard to pick a place. The world is so large and we go to so many places. So how do you pick one? So the idea is to bring the world to Tampa. We're going to be bringing developers, brokers, practitioners from other places in the world, and they're going to be in Tampa, and our members will be able to connect with them. And we're going to be, of course, promoting our area because they're going to do an immersion in our area as well. So it's a 5-day program. The first day, October 29th, is a conference style program where we're going to have amazing speakers, very knowledgeable global practitioners. On the 30th, we're going to have the global exchange. That's when you are a member, and if you're watching this and you're from a different local association on anywhere in the world, in the States, if you want to be here to meet with the world, that would be on the 30th. And then the 31st of October and November 1st and 2nd, that's when we're going to have immersion tours. We're going to be visiting properties. We're going to do property tours in Pasco County, Hillsborough County, and Pinellas County. So you can do the whole 5-day program, or you can pick one day and participate in what makes sense to you. So that was, I think, the biggest difference, because like you mentioned, I started working with the Global Council and with the global market back in 2018. And we've been starting and building those bridges, but now we're going to bring it home. So I am extremely excited about it. And I have put Tina and Sammy to work. A lot of those conferences was their first time going, and we prepped for it, and we had goals, and we made dozens of connections. And one last thing, we have been posting videos. The video about MIPIM, for example, in the description, you're going to have access. You can read all of the connections that we've made. They're all there. So we've met from practitioners of residential real estate to commercial real estate to mayors of cities, of different cities in the world. And we have their emails, we have their phone numbers, and that is in the description of the video. Not the phone number, but the name and the person. So if you want to be connected with any of them, you can talk to any of us. You can talk to David, to Sammy, to Tina, or myself, and we have those contacts to share. That's what we've been doing. So again, we're very excited to this event in October. Please invite everybody and please come.
Yeah, perfect, Karina. Thank you. And yeah, it's a big trend. We hear our chief economist, Lawrence Yun, talking about what retirees will do in the future. And so, you really have to think about if you're not involved in global as a practitioner, I think you miss out. You miss out on making connections and helping your clients and customers because there are millions of people that are on the verge of retirement. And some of them may not be able to afford to be here, but why would you miss that opportunity to connect them to a practitioner in Portugal and help them get their dream? You may not go there and help facilitate it, but we want to help facilitate getting a practitioner that you can trust on the other end to meet your customers' needs because they may be a lifetime customer to you. So why should you not be involved in this? And this is why it's important for you all or for our members to be involved in commercial too, but to be involved in global real estate because it is about helping that client and customer in their next transition. And there are millions of Americans that are going to be retiring and potentially looking for other places. And countries are making it super, super lucrative I know that Greece, if you bring your Social Security check, if you're a married couple and you bring one Social Security check over, they will not tax you basically. You'll pay like 3 or 4% tax, but then when you fill out your US tax return, you get that as a credit. And so basically you can live in another country with no additional taxes. And so they're making these very, very attractive things for these millions of Americans that are set to retire. But we also, you just heard, tons of people want to come to be in the sunshine here too. And so, Tina, tell us about, I know that London was your first experience, and this is a retail show. So again, I wish they'd listen to us and do a couple days retail and a couple days of practitioner to practitioner. But they haven't gotten to the place where they're listening to our voice yet, but they will. I think it's super important. But we were tell them about how overwhelmed. I think after day one, we literally ran out of all our materials because it was very, very busy. They moved the location, and so I think that created much more buzz in that area. But tell us about your experience in London dealing directly with buyers of residential real estate in Florida.
It was definitely memorable because as we were going in, they were allowing people to just walk in. It was just an open conference. And that just hit me right off the bat. Like, what are they doing? There's no fee. There's no like, no, they're charging us because these are the people of London that or visiting London, and they know about this conference and they want to attend and learn more about these different places. We really did get a lot in London. As we go to these conferences, especially the one in London, Karina and I were walking up and down. We spent a whole day literally going from one space to the next, and we were getting their business cards, talking to them. Why would anyone want to go to their country or their resort or whatever it is that they built? So we just learned a lot about the whys. And then how are we associated with all of this too? It really makes you see that the world is huge and there's a lot of opportunity out there everywhere. And people really do love Florida and want to come to Florida. Everyone knew where Florida was. There was not one person that said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, they knew, but there were people there that you had no idea where they were from. And that was kind of interesting because it showed you the world. So that hit me. And then, and then Karina and I were really, you can get what for 45,000, and it includes what health care, so there was just a lot of those wow moments. So if you were retiring, you wanted to keep your citizenship in America, but you wanted to be able to go somewhere and maybe relax and have a relaxing life. I thought that was kind of interesting that someone could head over to, one we got was Belize. So that hit home with me because I'm actually selling property in Belize. And it never occurred to me that people actually want to buy a piece of property, that an American wants to come into another country like Belize, buy a piece of property, build a home on there, live there part of the year when it's really hot in Florida, during the cooler time over in that country, and have everything on that property, that they don't have to have electricity. They don't have to have set up to water. Everything is all in their property. So the water intake goes into just the whole thing. I'm like, how do they live there all year without electricity and water? So there are systems out there that you can live off the grid, and there's many people doing it, and they're retiring that way on their Social Security. And so there was just a lot of learning moments like that. I'd heard of this, of course, through commercial. I've talked to people, but this was definitely a wake up moment for me that, Florida's really, we have a mark on the map, and we still do have very affordable places in Florida for people to come. So I don't think that's the issue. I think it's really just a comfort in them knowing what they have here. And that's what we brought to the table. I think us being there, being present, is very important. And I'd like to see Tampa take even a stronger, Tampa Bay, the whole South region of Tampa. I think we need to take a stronger stance at all of these conferences so they know that we exist, we're here, and yes, they can come over, they can buy a condo for less than 200,000 right now. They can buy down south, they can buy up north. So there's a lot of potential still in Florida. I don't think we're overpriced. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. As a follow-up to that, most Europeans are used to three and four and $5,000, $6,000 per square meter.
Mhm.
So, that equivalent to us when we're talking to Londoners, especially when we're at the place in the sun, when they can still see, we brought up the map, we had Stellar MLS map right there and we're looking at properties with people, so they get a feel for it. I think people are very overwhelmed that oh, I can buy a home for 350 that I might have to put something into, or I can buy something for 5 or 600,000 that's ready to go and turnkey, that I can live there part of the year. And so I think they're very surprised about that. We might freak out at $400 a square foot as
Right.
Americans.
No, they were shocked. I mean, I was having a lot of fun with that big video, right? This big. And
Yeah.
I'm there and I'm pulling all kinds of stuff up. I almost sold George down in Miami a unit. I had him about this close. But I think what really hit them was when we started looking in Cape Coral area, even, and then St. Petersburg condos, and it had the pool, and then there's a water view past the pool. They're like, "That's a pool?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And the unit's 155. They couldn't believe it. They were just shocked. So I think there's a lot more potential. Again, we were there representing Suncoast. We were there representing the Tampa Bay region. But if I was an agent, I would go because you're just one of that, you're going to stand out from being from Tampa, and you could probably get a lot of deals done. Because I think it was, who was there? The Cashies were there on their own. Am I saying that right? They were doing deals right and left. I mean, next thing you know, I'm hearing, oh yeah, you own $1 million property in Sarasota. Yeah, we'll help you sell that, and we'll help you buy this other one. I was
They've
like,
been
wow,
going for years. They're from Sarasota area, realtors in
yeah,
Sarasota. And so
this is very real.
they
It
go
just
there
depends
on
what
their
you do with it. Yeah,
we go
exactly.
there on their own dime, and they
Yeah,
can do the deals there because that's what they're there for. We go for a little different reason where
right.
ours is all about the marketing of the Tampa Bay region, but you also can just go with us to any of these. We have a flyer that's out on our website, and it's called Global Opportunities. We're just about done for this year. We have Brazil left, but next year that same flyer will be up, and in advance you can make any of those arrangements, and we will assist you in getting there. If you need help with hotels or those type of things, or what to do or where to stay. But it's pretty simplistic. I think we just arranged for next year for France, and I told Karina that the hotel nights were at the same place we stayed the past couple of years, like $147 per night. And so these are not super, super expensive places to stay. And so we try to make it affordable, but we can help you. If you see those opportunities and you'd like to go and be in our booth and have some booth time on your own dime, you can do all the deals you want. We're there to represent the association, but you're free to do that. And so I think it's a feature and a benefit of the association that we offer this. And we've had a few over the years to come and take us up on that. And I think it's something that can help expand your horizon if you're interested in exploring global. So as a wrap up, anybody have something they want to add to this conversation? And so we are taping this today so that people in the future can see this and understand what we did this particular year and how it matters.
I want to tell a story that I tell every time I do these webinars. A lot of people don't think that there's opportunity, or the global market is something very niched, or that you need to speak a different language, or that you need to have a background. But that's not true. This and then I'll let Ollie talk, because I guess we weren't calling on you, Ollie, because we weren't sure if you wanted to speak or not. But if you're in the Tampa Bay area, you know the neighborhood called Cheval in Lutz. That's where I lived for over 10 years. And when I put my own house up for sale and I was the listing agent, I got a call from a couple that was moving from Odessa to Lutz. And Americans, They were just trying to look for a place where they thought they would be more involved with the community. And there's a golf course in Cheval. So the neighborhood that they were was newer. They didn't have many amenities like that neighborhood. So they wanted to see my property. They came in, and that kitchen conversation lasted 2 hours. I asked questions. I always recommend people, the biggest thing that you can do is stay curious, ask questions. And I found out that they owned that little Italian restaurant in the Starkey Ranch neighborhood, and they sold it. And that was a franchise, and they really love Italian food. And they had this dream that they never thought that they would ever live, of having a property in Italy where they could grow their own food, and possibly having even built a B&B or something. So after 2 hours, I convinced him not to buy my property, and I scheduled a meeting with a person I connected while I was in Spain that worked in Italy, an Italian person. The couple actually came to my office. I organized the Zoom with this person in Italy. They went to Italy, they visited properties there, and then they ended up buying a beautiful property in the Tuscany area of Italy. I don't know much about Italy. My background is Brazil, Portugal, Spain, but not Italy. But because I knew who to connect them with, I ended up making their dream a reality that they never even thought that that was possible. So you never know when that referral might be coming from, or it might be going to. So if you just start building that CRM, put all your contacts there. You don't know when you're going to need it. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to speak the language. You just need to know who to connect people with. And that's what happened to me. I like to tell that story because I never thought that somebody that wanted to buy a property in the suburbs of Tampa, it turns out they really wanted to buy a property in Italy. So just something I like to share.
Beautiful story and a great example for our members about how and why these connections matter so much. And so that's a great story. One of my peers just bought in Portugal, not from Karina, but there was a connection that could be made so that my peer, that's the CEO of Rhode Island Realtors, could feel comfortable in buying in another country where they don't know the language, don't know the documents they're signing, and so. It was extremely helpful to have connections that they could feel comfortable in. But a beautiful story. Thank you. And so, Ollie, are you able to speak to us? Sorry.
Yes, I can. Yes, I
Okay.
can. First, I want to thank Karina and Sammy, and Tina and Mark. I ventured out and went to Realtor Quest on my own, to one, cure my curiosity of what is Realtor Quest, what are these global trips, how does this play into our business as realtors. I will say Florida Realtors, Maria Grulich, she does a great job along with the leadership team, giving you an overview of what to expect, what you should bring. And then on boots on the ground, Sammy as the chair, Mark, who has been to multiple global trade missions, just to see how the day starts. It's very long days. So if anyone thinks that, hey, it's just making contacts and getting referrals, Realtor Quest was not that by a long shot. It was early mornings, long days. Then we had events with Florida Realtors, with global partners in the afternoon. And that was nonstop, our routine while we were during the conference. I will say Realtor Request being realtor to realtor connections, it goes back to even what NAR President Kevin Brown recently said last week. We're in a relationship business, and relationships evolve just outside of our local areas, our state, our the U.S. It evolves globally. connecting with people. People were interested in what it takes to become a realtor in Florida. And I happen to be a licensed, state licensed instructor. So that was a topic that we can connect with and discuss. That was the relationships that were built just off of how to become a licensee in the state of Florida. So it was well worth the trip. I highly encourage any member that has any curiosity of what these global trade missions are about, just attend one. Just attend one and get the experience. It will leave a great impression on you.
Well, thank you. That's perfect, always. And I apologize we didn't call on you, but I thought you were under the dentist drill. So thank you. But it's a great insight for a first time person going to participating in Realtor Quest. So as we wrap up, any questions? I see Julia, do you have any questions for us? Leslie, do you see anybody else?
I don't see anybody else. No.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to close us out with some words of wisdom about kind of set us up as to why we do this, for the bigger branding piece of it, and think of us like, as the Economic Development Council of Realtors, if you will, because we do that, especially in France. It's a very different experience. And if you're a first time goer, that's a more expensive one, but it will blow your mind because 85 countries are there with all of their developments. And so if you're interested, it's a good place to kind of dive in if you want to and make a vacation of it, I guess, in March in France. It's a little chilly and rainy, but you could have a little fun while learning about global real estate. Yes, Tina.
I'll close it out. I think that being that it was my first time to travel with an association, I would highly recommend if anyone has any question, if global is for them or wants to see what they can bring back to their home state, their home city, I highly recommend go on one of the trips. Whatever trip calls to you, maybe it's MIPIM. As you can see, 147 for a night. I just paid $294 in DC for legislative meetings, whatever that is. So it's very easy. The flight over might be a little long, but $1,000 round trip ticket, if you get it in advance. It's not an expensive trip, but I think it's well worth it for your career. You can decide what do you like, what do you want to focus on, and then if you want to stay closer to home and not go across the big ocean, go to Canada at least. That has got to be your minimum. And I'm probably going to make that part of my agenda after I'm done with presidency to go year after year, because I see a lot of value there, and I also see a lot of value globally as well. But Canada is a really good one, and we have a good relationship with them. So that's what I think. And I hope to see a lot more people involved next year. I think the more the merrier. I just feel that if we could have a big crowd going, we're going to get a lot more done. I've always believed in big teams, and we get a lot more business that way, and Tampa will get more well known. So hopefully I'll see everybody on here next year. And that's it.
Very nice way to close this out. And so I'll remind everybody that our feeder markets that we go to, of course, London, we go to Toronto for Realtor Quest, Spain, Brazil, and France. And so those will be on our global opportunities for 2027. And if you're interested in going to Brazil, you'd have to hustle a little bit to get rooms and all that, but it's still a possibility. They have a massive conference there. And of course, a super feeder market for us. We have a huge Brazilian population. And so it's a great place for you to gain those referrals and create your global business. So thank you, Tina, for closing us out. And thank you all for joining us. We hope these global insights give some value to you to understand the global marketplace and what STAR does for you every day. So we're out for now, and we'll be back with you after we return from Brazil later this year to give you that update. So thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
Thank
wonderful day.
you.
See you.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Have a good day, everyone.